last 3 years, I've gone from zero K-pop merch to, well, this. And early last year, the thought kind of crossed my mind, how much am I actually spending on all of this? Today, you and I are going to find out what that actually adds up to. Hi guys, Han here. And you already know what this video is about. You've seen the title. Every Weverse purchase, every album, every photo card, every concert ticket. I have kept track of every single K-pop related purchase I've made in 2022. And today we are going to find out not only how much I spend, but what exactly I spent it on, because I think you guys will be quite surprised. I know I was, okay? That being said, I would like to make a quick disclaimer. First and foremost, this is my money that I worked for and I will spend as I please. I know when people do these videos on YouTube, people love to give their opinions, but if you just want to tell me that I wasted my money, do I look like I care? It doesn't need to be that deep. Also, on a more serious note, I don't want this video to send the vibe of if you don't spend this much, you're not a true fan or anything like that. I know what it's like not to be able to buy anything. You don't have to spend a single dime to be a fan. So with that being said, I've got the numbers here and let's jump right into it. The first category is concerts and the first subcategory is tickets. Now, this is for both in-person tickets and online streams. Even including all of that, I only spent 813,000 won, which is 649 USD, on concert tickets this year, which is nothing. Like, I think I spent more than that on Wembley weekend alone. Actually, I was quite surprised when I saw this because I would have expected this section to be much higher. Then again, with the COVID situation here in Korea, there were just less concerts this year, so that is part of the reason why I probably haven't spent as much. That being said, let's move on to concert MD. And this is where things get a little bit like, oh, okay, maybe I need to cut back a little bit. Because mind you, I only actually went to 4 live performances. Bearing in mind I did not buy any merch for Epic High. I managed to spend 729,000 won. So basically, I spent as much on concert MD as I spent on the concert ticket. Which, I mean, do with that information what you will. I regret nothing. I didn't even go to Busan, but I'm wearing it, okay? So, in fairness, I do actually spend quite a bit when concerts happen because I always buy the MD for all the shows. And I also try and get all of the concert mini PCs, which they don't seem like they cost that much, but I tell you, those things add up so quickly and I've yet to actually ever complete a pack, so it's the most annoying thing in the world. But moving along to the final section of our concerts and events, which is video on demand and DVDs. Now, I did already mention that I paid for streams. However, in this section, it's all the concert DVDs from previous years that were released on Weverse. And for that, I still managed to pay quite a decent amount, 416,000 won on videos. Well, in fairness, actually no, physical DVDs can be quite expensive. I mean, look at Memories, that was like 68,000 won. So they do add up fairly quickly, but I must admit that was more than I would have anticipated. Like, if you had asked me to guess, I never would have guessed that high. Then again, we did also have a lot of DVDs come out this year. Like, we finally, So Love Yourself, Speak Yourself, the final. I've been waiting literally 3 years for that DVD. Anyway, it's fine. Anyway, for this entire section, I spent a total of 1,958,000 won, which is still just the first category. So, I mean, we're off to a strong start. Bruh. So, next up we have general MD. It's your made by artist merch, it's your birthday merch, it's like Dalmajung and all these random releases that we get throughout the year when we're least expecting and we just expect us to have money on lock. And honestly, for me, this is what I would expect to be my biggest spending section. I'm not gonna lie, I try to buy at least one thing from every single release. With that being said, I was actually surprised when I saw the number. And I think the reason this number is not as high as I expected is because I was actually really broke at the start of last year. I didn't really pick up my spending again until about June. So with all that in mind, I still managed to spend 846,000 won, which once again is actually more than what I spent on concert tickets. So moving on to the final section. This is the one where, okay, maybe I'm a little bit ashamed. This is the album section, which I broke down into albums, album merch, and photo cards. Okay, starting with albums, we actually had a decent amount of releases this year because of BTS's solo activities. I do also buy Epic High albums. TXT also had a comeback. So there were a fair few things, and oh my god, TXT always have so many versions of their albums. I only have so much money, please calm down. That being said, in this year, I actually spent only 600,000 won on albums, which, considering some of the numbers we've gone through, actually doesn't seem like that much. And then also I included LPs that came out this year. Not a terrible number, but I mean, on top of everything else, these numbers are starting to add up. I don't know if any of you are keeping track, but there will be a total at the end, don't worry. The next section is album MD. So this is all the stuff that comes out, like the Jack in the Box merch, the Indigo merch we just had recently, the Astronaut merch we just had recently. And actually, I'm not surprised that this number is not as high as some other sections, because as much as I love merch, I am very specific about buying things that I will use. Yes, I know I have a very nice display behind me, but I do actually focus primarily on buying things that have utility. DVDs can be watched, CDs can be listened to, clothes can be worn. Even though there was a lot of really nice merch this year, I only actually spent 587,000 won on album merch. So just about the same as what I spent on albums themselves, which is still a lot in hindsight. But if you compare it to some of the other sections we've gone over so far, it's actually not that much in comparison. Album merch, clearly not that big a deal for me, although I do still spend a decent amount in total. And that brings us to our final section, photo cards. And I must say, this is a section that kind of made me take a step back and be like, okay, wait, maybe I do have a problem. Just to put things in perspective, before we even get into numbers, I do not collect BTS photo cards. Some of you guys might know I run group orders and I do photo card swaps. Every now and then I will take my bias, but sometimes I'll just be like, oh, this photo card's kind of pretty, and I'll take that one and then I'll give everybody else whatever they wanted, right? I'm not that fussed about having a particular member for BTS photo cards. The problem is TXT, okay? Because I convinced myself at one point saying, you know what, I became a fan very early on, so collecting is not impossible. And on top of that, there are only 5 of them. Well, let me tell you, collecting 5 people's photo cards when there are 3 photo cards per every album, it adds up really quickly. And then there are lucky draws. Mind you, to buy one lucky draw, you have to buy a full album. Well, I suppose the same for regular photo cards, but that's besides the point. We're buying these albums specifically for the photo card. So I actually included all my lucky draw purchases in this section, not in the album section, because I'm not buying the album, I'm buying the photo card, let's be real. So with that being said, my total spent on just premium paper, 987,000 won. I can't lie guys, I did not see that coming when I planned this video. I was going through and I was just like, oh, you know, these LD purchases are adding up a little bit. But little did I know, the most money I spent on any category of merch in the last year was photo cards. And I mean, you know, considering we're also in TXT pre-comeback season right now, I'm looking at all the different Korean retailers that are selling different POBs and I'm like, Anyway, with that sobering revelation, I think it's time for us to get into the grand total. How much did I spend, for better or for worse, on K-pop merch in 2022. But before I reveal that final number, you know I had to. If you like this video, be sure to like this video. And if you would like to see more BTS and TXT stan content, or just life in Korea content from me, be sure to subscribe. I'd love to have you. And if you've been with me since before my hiatus, thank you so much. I am so sorry. Last year was just insane. I'm grateful that you are still here and I am going to get back on it this year. So please look forward to a lot of fun content. In 2022, I spent a grand total of 4,978,000 won. And you know what, I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. When I first had the idea for this video, I really thought it was gonna be a lot higher. If you told me it was twice that, I would have believed you. That's not to say this is a small number by any means, because it's not. Like, where does that money even come from? Actually, that's a video for another day. Considering the fact that I didn't spend that much in the first half of the year, like I mentioned, I am not surprised that it's slightly lower than what I predicted. That being said, I think with this whole situation, I've kind of learned that maybe for my current income level, actually cut back just a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. But I mean, it's January. This is when we make resolutions we're not going to keep, right? So in this video, we only talked about what I spent as a fan. We haven't spoken about what I actually make as a fan. If you'd like to see that video, let me know, because that will be a video for another day. Anyway, that brings us to the end of today's video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope 2023 has been treating you well so far. If this is your first time with me, maybe check out this video over here. You might enjoy it. You might want to stick around. And if not, well, this has been Han from the Haniverse. Thanks for stopping by. Annyeong!